Denmark is moving forward with its naval expansion. The US has confirmed it's placing missiles in Germany, and France has finished its withdrawal from Chad. Not that guy you dated in college, the country. I am Mandatory Fun Day. This is Worldwide Wednesday. Here's everything you need to know in a couple minutes. This is an update to the video I did on April 9, so if you need context, make sure you check that one out too. Watch until the end because I'm breaking down how China is supporting Russia in the conflict in Ukraine. They're doing it in some devious ways. That was weird, let's move on. In April, Denmark made headlines by announcing a major naval expansion citing Russian threats in the Baltic and North Sea. Now they're following through with a full-fledged procurement plan for 25 new ships. This includes Arctic patrol vessels, frigates, and a range of unmanned surface and underwater vehicles. The fleet overhaul is Denmark's largest naval investment since the Cold War. The vessels are designed with hybrid capabilities, including anti-submarine warfare, cyber resilience, and modular weapon systems. Danish officials have explicitly stated that this buildup is not just about defense, it's about deterrence. This is a classic Nordic flex, quiet, calculated, but unmistakably aggressive in its intent. Denmark may not be a military giant, but it sits on a strategically vital maritime choke point. Russia knows that, NATO knows that, and now Denmark's fleet is being built to ensure everyone respects it. The move also signals to neighboring allies like Norway and Germany that regional security will be handled more cooperatively and with much bigger boats. Denmark is expanding its navy in a fairly niche way. These ships are not going to have the stopping power of the navies of much larger countries. They will have a purpose-built mission. Is this a good move, or is Denmark leaving themselves open to significant attack? What do you think? The United States confirmed it will deploy long-range missiles, including the SM-6 and Tomahawk systems, to Germany by 2026. The missiles being deployed to Germany will be able to strike targets over 1,000 miles away and are part of a broader NATO realignment aimed at deterring Russian aggression. Moscow, predictably, is not thrilled. The Kremlin labeled the deployment as provocative and promised military technical responses, which is Kremlin speak for we're probably moving nukes somewhere we shouldn't. NATO, meanwhile, has emphasized that this deployment is defensive and framed it as part of the post-INF treaty realignment. As you can probably already tell, this isn't just about missiles, it's about messaging. By placing long-range US missiles in the heart of Europe, NATO is saying if Russia can hit us from Kaliningrad, we can hit back from Bavaria. Germany, long accused of being militarily hesitant, is now willingly hosting strike-capable platforms. That's not just a policy shift, it's a generational one. Russia is sure to view this as a significant escalation, or at the very least, use it as an excuse to do something they shouldn't. What do you think their response will be realistically? Thank you so much for watching this video. Y'all's support is amazing. If you want to support me further, head over to themandatoryfunday.com. We've got merchandise. We've got exclusive content for members of the website. Members of the website also get 20% off orders, and they will forever. We've got shirts, mugs, hats, and stickers. This week's members-only exclusive content is going to cover China, their covert support for Russia, and how China views war culturally. Let's get back to the video. Tensions between Venezuela and Guyana over the oil-rich Essequibo region are boiling again. Since April, Venezuela has not only ramped up troop movements, but it has also supported illegal incursions and held military exercises alarmingly close to the Guyanese border. In response, Brazil has mobilized troops along its own northern border, issuing statements discouraging any aggressive action. Guyana, for its part, has warned that any Venezuelans who participate in local elections in the contested region will be arrested. The rhetoric on both sides is heating up, and so are the logistics. Venezuela sees Essequibo as a nationalistic rallying cry amid domestic collapse. Guyana sees it as sovereign land, and Brazil wants none of the smoke. But it also can't afford to let regional conflict spill south. If this escalates further, expect OAS involvement and maybe even a hemispheric security debate. France has completed its withdrawal from Chad, ending a military presence that spanned more than 7 decades. This follows Chad's decision to revoke the bilateral defense agreement, citing national sovereignty and rising anti-French sentiment across the Sahel. Chad's transitional government claimed the French press was no longer welcome or necessary, despite ongoing instability. Meanwhile, French officials say the withdrawal is part of a larger strategy to reduce military exposure in West Africa after costly and politically toxic counterterrorism operations in Mali and Burkina Faso. France didn't just lose a base, it lost an anchor in its post-colonial sphere of influence. This retreat reflects a deeper recalibration. France is acknowledging that heavy-handed security partnerships in Africa are no longer sustainable. Unfortunately, in the short term, the power vacuum could benefit insurgents and destabilize neighboring countries. And geopolitically, it opens the door to, you guessed it, Russia and Chinese influence in the region. This is a massive move for France, obviously, but does this indicate a good shift globally? Will Russia or China attempt to fill this void? Have they already? Have they already begun? What do you think? Please let me know in the comments. While the West obsesses over drones and battlefield maps, China has quietly become Russia's most important war enabler, indirectly. China continues to export industrial tools, semiconductors, and rare earth metals vital to Russian weapons manufacturing. Most recently, Chinese companies have resumed large-scale shipments of gallium and germanium, two metals essential for advanced missile guidance and radar systems. This comes despite mounting U.S. pressure to curb Beijing's back-channel assistance. And it's not just private trade. Chinese state banks are increasingly tolerant of financial transactions involving Russian defense suppliers. This is Beijing's shadow strategy in action. Support Moscow just enough to keep it fighting, but not enough to trigger Western sanctions. The logic is brutal and brilliant. A weakened but persistent Russia keeps NATO distracted and U.S. resources tied up. It's indirect warfare through commerce, and it's working. The question now is whether Washington and Brussels will finally hit back with broader secondary sanctions on Chinese tech firms or just keep sending more memos. That's where we are as of late May 2025. Denmark's buying boats, Germany's hosting missiles, Venezuela's flirting with a border war, France just ghosted West Africa, and China? It's rebuilding Russia's war machine with a wink and a trade deal. Global power isn't always a matter of tanks and treaties. Sometimes it's slow-rolling procurement, election threats, or the subtle logistics of semiconductor exports. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, and if you enjoyed this geopolitical update, give one of my other videos a watch. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.